Facing challenges and overcoming setbacks is part of doing business. Whether you have the expertise to survive them or not could mean the difference between success or failure. Welcome to We Are Women, featuring revealing conversations that provide invaluable insights into the success secrets of female masterminds. A must listen for every entrepreneurial woman. Now here's your host, Janeen Vosper.
Hi, it's Janeen Vosper and welcome to this episode of the We Are Women podcast. I have the gorgeous and lovely Connie Paglianiti. I think I got that right. It was very close. I have to brush up on my Italian a little bit. Connie is an award-winning speaker, bestselling author and creator of Red Flags in Plain Sight framework. With over 40 years experience in high-stakes event production and a personal story that spans betrayal, incarceration, and redemption. Oh, this is going to be juicy. Connie now helps leaders, HR teams, and business owners spot the warning signs before they spiral into scandal, burnout, or breakdown. Through her keynote speaking, corporate workshops, and media appearances, she brings powerful insight, raw honesty, and a call to action that is hard to ignore. Well, I hope that sort of piqued your interest a little bit, and welcome, Connie.
Thank you so much, Janeen. It's lovely to be here.
We met for the first time just on a networking event recently, and I thought, oh, what you had to say was interesting. Like the story is interesting, but it's the part of what the learning from that story is what we're all about here on the podcast. So I think I will just let you go and just tell that part of your story, and then we'll get into some of the learning.
Yeah, look, it's been a hard road in the sense that, yes, I did go to jail, and I'll go back to the story how I got into jail. But coming out, I've locked myself further for another 2.5 years. And why did I do that? The shame, the embarrassment, and the stigma that's associated with gambling. Not only jail, but gambling as well. I don't know why society doesn't allow people do their time, come out and get on with life. Look, I understand if they're dangerous to the community. I completely understand that, and I'm all for it to keeping them jailed. But when we make one mistake, which is the one mistake in my life, I'm 67 now. I went to jail at 61. So I came out when I was nearly 60, almost 64. I would have liked a second opportunity, a second chance. But do you think that was given to me? No. I wrote resume after resume, and I got rejection after rejection or no answer at all. Because one of the things I've always been is truthful. I've always told people the truth. And in my covering letter to all these companies that I wrote to, I actually said in my first paragraph, I do have a criminal record. I'm happy to discuss it, given the opportunity, but I don't want to waste your time or mine if that's not part of your company policy. Like I said, I got it rejected or I never heard from them. So after 2.5 years, I thought to myself, I've been locked away. I thought, well, will I keep staying locked away in my four walls in the house, or will I go out and do something about it? So at the age of 66, I decided to go back to university and make my own future, thinking that I'd go back into event management, but teach online to other people around the world how to make an amazing event, a very memorable experience for others. So I did my diploma in event management, and I only did that because I wanted to see, one, how they taught it, and two, to get that little piece of paper so it would give me more credibility and authority. One of the things I learned at uni is I don't want to teach it that way. It's very theory heavy, and events are supposed to be enjoyable, exciting. Yes, hard work, but you've got to use your creativity, and that wasn't allowed in there. You just did all the theory work, and it was actually quite boring. So I started doing and advertising for my event management course to teach online, but I wasn't getting too many bites. In the meantime, a friend of mine introduced me to this amazing person called Kaylee Chu. She did 100 lunches with strangers. And I did a 5-day workshop, how to be a speaker. Not that I wanted to be a speaker, but I thought I'd give it a try. So I did. I loved it. I learned so much that then I went into her actual programs. And in the midst of all this, I got a sponsorship to write my own biography from an American company, which is called From the Shadows into the Light, which is, if you can see at the back, which became a bestseller in 5 different countries. So I've gone from event management to public speaking to being an author. So a complete turnaround.
There's a whole lot of points that you've touched on there that I just want to unpack a little bit, because it's one thing telling the story, but there's more behind. I mean, behind you, there's more to it to be able to, and one of the things that you talk about the incarceration, but being locked in your 4 walls. And that is something that I see people all the time. They don't have to be in jail, and they don't have to have, stay within a house, even within, to be that sense of locked in. Tell me what that feels like, and the variation between the
Can I
actual
tell you something?
incarcerated.
The physical bars were hard. It was really hard time for me. But having those invisible bars, it's even worse, because at least with the visible bars, I was allowed to go out into the courtyard, talk to other people, and be amongst other people that didn't judge you.
Mm.
Putting those invisible bars around me, I didn't have anybody around. So it was lonely. And I was at a loss of what to do with my life because, like I said, society wasn't giving me a chance. What do I do with it?
Mm.
Do I crumble and die quietly in my room, or do I go out? So, whether it's in your head, whether it's in your room, it is a really hard place to be in because it's harder to get out of it. You really have to be strong, and you really got to have motivation to do that. And
Mm.
my mum gave me that
Okay.
because although she was Italian and she could never understand why I did what I did, she still loved me. She still
Mm.
supported me emotionally, financially, because I was broke.
Mm.
And in October 2023, she got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, stage 4.
Oh, wow, that's not a good one.
Yeah. So I thought to myself, what do I do now? At least I was able to get out of my 4 walls and go and visit her at home. So there was a bit of outing there. And in January 2024, last year, on the day of my birthday, she went into hospital. She never came out.
Mm.
And to this day, I still miss her.
Oh,
And
my
I,
mum died in 2013, and I still,
yeah,
we miss our mums. It's the
yeah,
person we want to turn to when we have the failures, or but more importantly, I found it's the person I want to turn to when I have the successes. It's just not on
yeah.
the end of the
And
end.
I think she's the one who actually gave me that motivation. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Get out there and do something. You've got years ahead of you. Don't
Mm-hmm.
let society put you back in your bars. So
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
got me out.
Because you could have stayed there. You could have,
It's easier to stay there
yeah.
than it is to get out, let me tell you, because I even got bullied on social media. I'm a John Farnham fan, freak, fraud,
Mm.
whatever you want to call it, right? A stalker, my son calls me. So I joined this John Farnham group, and because I have got a lot of interesting stories about him
Mm.
because I followed him all my life and I actually met him many times. So I was putting a lot of interesting stories on the Facebook group, and one of the administrators asked me, "Would I like to be an administrator?" At first, I thought, "No, I don't want to. I don't want to put my name out there."
Mm.
So I did, but it was under my personal page, which is a completely different name. One of the other administrators, because my Facebook got a lot more likes and posts and comments than hers, don't ask me why or how, she delved into my past. So then I started getting bullied by her and the other two administrators. They were actually sharing, they didn't realize I was part of the chat. They were sharing stories about that woman in Sydney. Remember the one that defrauded or million, tens of millions of dollars and they found the foot on the beach? They were putting me in the same class. So it really, really hurt. So
Mm.
that sort of really, and I thought, if this is the reaction I'm going to get by being out there, I don't want to be out there.
No, and it's not just children who get bullied. It's especially I can't imagine. I can't, that sense of I don't want to go out in the world. Hang on, I'll take a step out. Oh, is this what happens when I do that?
Yeah. Yeah. So eventually I blocked them. I got out of the group. I blocked them. I grew their group from about 10,000 to over 20,000,
Yeah,
right? So I just blocked them completely. Then I had another, since I've been vocal about my story, my history, and why I got there, how I did the crime, I do post things on LinkedIn. And I got bullied in jail by half a dozen prisoners, but also the officers, because they sent me to the low security prison. And they've got a very much a country mentality. And if they think you've done white collar crime, they think you're self entitled. This is the officers. And the women were jealous of my sentence because for the amount that I actually stole,
yeah.
I had a much lesser sentence than they did, which they did a lot less. But the reason that being is because the judge took my whole history into account. I've always been a community-based person. I've always done charity work since I was late teens, early 20s. And I got certificates from state governments, from councils, from charities. So she took that into account. So when she gave me the sentence, she basically said, I need to take the whole thing into the equation because how can a 61-year-old woman who's never committed a crime all of a sudden go from this to this? So,
So do you want
but
to tell us the story now, seeing that we're here?
okay. I was running an event management company and that was my own. But before that, I had a bookkeeping business for over 20 years. And once I started my event management company, I started dwindling down the clients. But I had one there that was over 20 years old and we had a great relationship. We actually became friends. So he trusted me with his accounts. He trusted me with his bank details. And I was allowed to authorize things on my own. I met this person in 2012, 2011, and I thought he had the same vision as myself about bringing the new Italy into Australia because I was very much in educating people about Italian culture. So we went into business together. So we organized this event at the Royal Exhibition Building for August 2012. He was supposed to do all the sponsorship and bring all the companies from Italy to exhibit. So that was his job. My job was in other areas. The companies from Italy never came. The sponsorship that he got went into his bank account, not the companies. By the end of it, I was left with over $1 million worth of debts.
Goodness.
I tried to grab money from the mortgage. I tried to get money from the credit cards, but I still had in excess of $400,000 left. I went to see my lawyer, and my lawyer said, Connie, you got a case. You will win, but you will also lose. And the reason why I would lose is because he didn't have a cent to his name. Although he went around and still does to this day, go around saying that his father is the richest man in Italy, nothing moves in or out of Italy without his permission, etc. I didn't know what to do. I've always paid my debts. So I stole money from my client to pay those debts. I was so depressed because it was out of character for me. I've never stolen anything in my life. And all of a sudden, I've gone to stealing money from a dear client and a lot of money. So I started gambling, and the gambling got bigger and bigger. And although I paid those debts, then I kept stealing more and more to pay for the gambling addiction. But I couldn't admit it to myself. I thought I'd get out of this. I'd win money and I'll pay it back. How the hell I was going to pay it back, even if I had won money? I had no idea.
Mm.
But those machines kept calling me, calling me. I could spend hours at those machines because it was the only place I could actually be myself. I didn't have to put the happy front. I didn't have to keep the smile on my face. I could actually take that mask off and just be myself.
Was it yourself really, or was it just a way of zoning out, away from
I
all of
think it was a way
all
of
of the
zoning
things that
out.
were on your shoulders?
Yeah. And look, I wasn't sleeping.
Yeah.
Um, I was getting migraine after migraine. Um, yeah, yeah, probably being myself, it was probably zoning out from the whole disaster because it
Yeah.
was getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And eventually in September 2018, I got caught. I had stolen in excess of $6 million. Dollars.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
Mm.
But the casino loved me. They kept enticing you to go back in, free trips, free this, free that. So
Mhm.
the more they gave me, the more I gambled.
Yeah.
So once I got caught and I got served papers, and I remember the night that I got served papers was a Monday night. It was 8 o'clock. It was cold. I was sitting in my bed. I knew I had been caught 5 days before because the money didn't come through my bank account. So for those 5 days, I just would not go out because I knew they were going to pounce on me. Didn't know how soon.
Mm.
I was worried, how am I going to do this? Because I was going to my client every week. I didn't want to go back the following week because how can you go back when you know you're being caught? So 2 days before I was meant to go back to the client, I got served those papers. My young 15-year-old son, because I became a mother at 45, he opened the door and I heard my name being mentioned. So he calls out, Mum, you're wanted. So I went out. I actually thought it was the police, but it wasn't. It was just somebody serving papers. He asked me to confirm my name, which I did. He hands me this big, thick A4 envelope and he goes, You've been served. I just said thank you, slammed the door, and rushed to my room. My husband and my son followed me, and they kept asking, What have you been served with? And
They weren't
still,
aware any of this was going on. They didn't realize that you were sitting at the casino all the time.
no,
And
no, because when David and I met, we met through charity work.
mm,
I was always out. So my pattern hadn't changed at night, but during the day it did, but he wasn't around during the day.
mm,
So no, nothing, because he knew I was out all the time. It wasn't unusual. I wasn't the typical housewife that I was at home every night and all of a sudden I disappeared.
mm.
So they kept asking me, what have you been saying? I still tried to deny it. I said, oh, nothing, don't worry. It's just paperwork that I've got to finalize. No, what have you been served with? And eventually I broke down and admitted it. Well, let me tell you, if you could see the look on their faces, I just wanted to be swallowed up. It was devastating.
Yeah. It's hard
And
enough when it's external people making judgment, but when you know you've let family down and people that you care
yeah,
about, that's hard.
and
Mm.
my husband kept blaming himself. How could
Oh,
I not see this? And I said, how could you? Nothing changed at night
yeah,
time, you know? So, and my little boy's first words were, Mum, please don't do anything stupid. I need my mother.
yeah,
And that really broke my heart. Because look, during this time, I had thought on a number of occasions the easiest way for me to get over this
Mm. Is,
was
is
to
to
cut
leave
it
this
off.
planet.
Yeah. But then I remembered I had a young boy, and then I remembered of a very dear friend of mine who took his own life and the devastation that he left behind, even to this day, 8, 9 years later.
Mm.
Um, and I couldn't do that to my son.
Yeah, I'm,
'Cause
I'm
I
glad
feel,
I'm glad you didn't. I've had friends that have taken their own lives, and as you said, devastation lasts for years. It's not.
yeah, because I stopped suffering, but they don't.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you didn't. It's a heart-wrenching story. I can't imagine, going from a normal life then into prison. That's just
Yeah, that was pretty tough, especially
yeah.
when in Victoria, we got two prisons. The high security, which is where they send you until they analyze whether you're a risk or not. And if you're not and you behave, they'll send you to the low security, which is far away in the country, 2.5 hours. So when you initially go in, you're amongst the worst murderers in this country.
Mm,
So you have to watch your back. You have to watch what you say. It is scary.
mm,
Look, I met some lovely women, but I met some horrible women too.
yeah, yeah. It would be extremely daunting. It's one thing to come from a criminal space where you go in and out of prisons and used to that, but just to be thrust into that, and how was that, just that sense of they shut the gate, they shut the doors at night, or
Oh, I can't even describe it, what it was like. Um, I get claustrophobic as well. I'm a clean freak.
mm,
So when you first go in and they put you in a cell, it is dirty, it is filthy. I remember the first night I was there, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't brush my teeth, I couldn't go to the toilet. I refused to eat their food because you don't trust what the prisoners cook.
mm,
So for the first couple of weeks when you're locked in, all I ate was Tim Tams, dry biscuits that I used to buy myself because you were allowed $150 a month to come in from outside. And then once you started working, they paid you, I think, it started at $6.95 a day and then went up to $8.95 a day, which is not a lot of money when you got to buy everything in there.
mm,
And they're not on sale. They're always the higher prices.
mm,
Yeah. So I made do with what I had. By the time you buy water, by the time you buy this, by the time you buy a canned tuna, because that's all I would eat. I would not touch the prison food.
okay. Is that just because of what it was, or you were fearful of the food?
You're fearful of the food.
Okay,
Just before I came out, there was a big thing. These prisoners put their toenails into the food.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do things like that, or they spit in it. And I'm not saying that they all do it, but you don't know who does and who
Who
doesn't.
doesn't? Yeah,
Yeah, so you've got to just be careful.
yeah. So there's constant
Yeah. And
watching.
also the amount of food they gave you. And that's why people in jail, especially in the women, they get bigger in there because they eat a lot of junk food because the food they give them is not enough. You
Mm,
get a little bowl of milk in the morning with a wheat bix or cornflake, right? And maybe an apple or banana if you're lucky.
mm,
That's at about 8:30, 8:30. Then at 11:30, you get a stale roll with one tomato slice, one cucumber, piece of lettuce, and maybe a piece of cheese, sliced cheese. And if you're a meat lover, they give you a ham or something. And that's it until 4:30 when you get your dinner. And that's in little containers, there's little plastic
mm,
containers.
mm.
And that's got to do you from 4:30 to the following morning at 8 o'clock again. So,
Wow.
so in between all that, they
Yeah,
just eat junk food.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow, that's certainly wouldn't sustain me. I know that, let alone if you're choosing not to eat it either because of not trusting it.
Yeah.
I know it's when we spoke, you talked about red flags, and that's what the book is, and
Well,
also
and this is the
what
fun.
you didn't
Yeah,
notice with yourself, but now that's what you help other people recognize.
yeah, but this is the funny thing. In my bookkeeping days, my business, I used to go into companies looking for those red flags,
Yeah,
searching for who was taking money from the company. So I've gone from this side to
yeah.
this side. And so I know both sides. So I've got the lived experience on both ends.
So how did you not see the red flags within yourself?
Desperation,
Yeah. So that was how you justified?
probably.
Yeah.
Probably. My excuse was pay these bills and go to the pokies, win that $1 million jackpot and put it all back in. And you wouldn't be any the wiser. But that
Yeah.
didn't happen.
Yes, and as we know, there's no winning in gambling.
No.
It's so
And uh, gambling is even worse than drugs and alcohol because with drugs, you can see it. With alcohol, you can smell it.
yeah.
But with gambling, you can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't smell it. I call that the silent killer.
And you're actually encouraged, as you said. I know people that, yeah, they regularly turn up at casinos, so they get the free night stay and they get the extra bonuses and, as you said,
Yeah, and
holidays
the
and everything.
private jets and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so the
Yeah,
more you spend, the more they entice you to keep going
yeah,
back by enticing you. Fly to Sydney in your private jet type of thing. So you and I don't know why I didn't stop. I can't answer that to this day. I don't know why. But like my husband said, in that period of 5 years, I had one con person after another. It's almost like I had an S for sucker or an L for loser on my forehead. I seemed to attract these leeches.
yeah. So
And I couldn't see it.
energetically, I wonder why you were bringing this in. I mean, I'm a very big believer there's lessons in life, and sometimes, and those that listen to this regularly will know that we either get hit by a feather, a brick, or a bus. And
Mm.
I think that eventually you got hit by a bus. So that's the only thing that would stop or change. It
Yeah,
was a very big bus. It
huge,
was,
huge.
yeah,
It
certainly
started with a
was.
con man, then he started with another person in Italy, then he started with a legal firm here in Melbourne.
Mm,
Then he started with an event person who said, promised the earth but delivered nothing. So,
mm,
and I think at the time, because I was so desperate, I clutched at anything people told me.
mm.
This person will get me out of the shit.
Yeah,
Sorry for saying
yeah.
that word.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fine. I've said that and more on the program,
Yeah.
so it's not a
Um,
problem. The and the addiction, and was that did that surprise you?
yes, because the worst addiction I ever had all my life was chocolate.
Yeah, I
I
can
was a
relate to I
chocoholic.
can relate to that
Right?
one,
Yeah,
candy, but yeah,
yeah. But even since then, last August, I did an NLP program, and I haven't eaten chocolate since last August.
yeah, great.
Right. But that's the only addiction I ever had.
Yeah,
And look, when the casino opened, they brought my sister and I used to go there once a week. We'd put $50 and come home, and we'd be happy if we won $200.
mm,
Or if we lost a 50, we say, okay, fine, right? So I'm not against people going to gambling.
mm,
I'm against all the advertising that's out there, especially in the sporting field,
mm,
right? I'm against these organizations enticing people to go back in. For example, the Crown used to offer me tickets to the tennis or the football, etc. I'm there right now. Give me the tickets now. Oh, you got to come back on such and such a date to pick them up. So what do you do when you go back?
yeah, yeah. Spend more money. Yeah, waste more money.
Yeah.
My husband is, I guarantee, he's the only person in Australia that's ever come out ahead with the pokies. He
Wow.
about 40 years ago, he put 5 cents in, won $100, and has never put another cent into a poker machine since.
Well done to him. Well
Yeah,
done to him.
yeah. So yeah. Again, just don't go into those
Yeah.
places. So that helps
And look,
as
I
well.
haven't
But yeah,
I
it's
haven't gambled for 7 years now. It will be
Yeah.
7 years next month.
And is that okay?
I'm fine. Do you know why? Whatever took me there is not there.
Right.
I always believe, and since this has all happened, is that people that have got an addiction, there's always an underlying issue underneath that we
Mm,
can't see.
mm,
I'm lucky that I'm still alive. I belong to the Respin program in Victoria, which is part of Gamblers Help. So I go around talking to people with addictions and their family and friends.
mm.
And some of the other speakers talk about their family member taking their own life because they were
Yeah.
hiding their gambling debts.
Yeah.
And that breaks my heart. So if we can save one life,
Mm.
it's
Yeah,
a
I think that's such an important
yeah,
aspect of it, isn't it?
yeah.
And then talking about those red flags, now that's what you are doing going into businesses and running
Yes.
workshops is how to identify, not necessarily
Look,
gambling, but what is a red flag? What does it look like?
they're all there. If people looked at mine, they could see it.
Yeah,
I
okay.
became
What would they have
serious.
seen, Connie?
They would have seen that I was always tired. They would
Okay.
have always seen that I was always over delivering things to make up for it. They could see that at times I became snappy.
Okay.
I
Is that
couldn't,
just you and I are the same vintage? Is that just a 60 plus person that's tired and snappy and the hormones or whatever, you know?
no, because I was never snappy. The other
Okay.
thing too is I always look people in the eye, and that
Yeah.
during that period, I couldn't look them in the eye.
Okay. So these are some of the things that if you were in business or family,
Mm,
particularly, that you
mm,
might look for, that change in personality.
yes. Look, I didn't do it because I stole the money, but a lot of gamblers that don't have access to money, they keep borrowing money from
Right.
family,
Okay.
friends.
Yeah.
That's a sign, whether it's for gambling, whether it's for drugs, whether it's for alcohol.
Mm. And as you said, with drugs and alcohol, and particularly drugs, you can tend to physically identify. There's
Yeah, yeah.
a lot more symptoms. But so even people just starting to do the wrong thing when it comes to any of those sort of addictions, what? So we're looking at personality changes. What other red flags?
Their manners change, their attitude changes. They could be going really, really quiet. They could be working long hours because they don't want anybody else to discover what they're doing. They
Mm,
don't want to lose control of their space. They don't want to share their workload.
okay.
So,
And you mentioned before shame. And I think that's the big one, isn't it? So if
yes.
you're feeling shame,
Mm.
that's how do you get
Look,
how do you move on from that? Because when I'm assuming when you're feeling shame, it's a loss of love for yourself and caring for yourself. So how do you move back into that going, feeling
with a lot of work,
worthwhile?
with a lot of work. There is a lot of work to do. Look, I still feel shame, not as much as I used to, but the shame is still there. Whenever I walk into a room, I always think, do they know me? Have they seen my photo somewhere? Because I was all over the news. I was the break news every hour on the day that I got sentenced.
Right.
Like people say, why don't you change your surname to your husband's surname? And look, I thought about it to hide from it, but then I thought my face can't hide.
No. And you put your face on the front of your book now as
Yes.
well.
And I think writing the book, let me tell you, that probably was the most cathartic thing that could have happened to me.
Mm,
Because I started from my childhood in Italy when we migrated to Australia. Because I came from a very strict family. Was very, very strict, and his discipline was physical. And being the oldest child in an Southern Italian family,
mm,
it's not the easiest thing to do. It's not that he didn't love us, but he didn't know how to show it. I
mm,
never got, I love you, Connie. I never got a hug. I never got, oh, Connie, you're a beautiful girl. Nothing like that. It wasn't in his makeup. And for a long, long time, till my late 20s, I hated my dad with a passion.
mm,
And it was only after I moved away from home. because at 23, I said to him, this is the last beating I'll ever get. I'm going. He gave me half an hour to get out of the house.
Mm.
Take whatever you can in half an hour and don't come back. So it took me about 6 months to actually be welcomed back into the family. Even though I was going back to see my mum, he kept telling me to go away. And it was only after I became engaged to a young man that he actually started coming around. So it was in my late 20s that my relationship with my dad started to change. It
Mm.
was when I started trying to understand him, why he did what he did. Look, we never went without food, ever.
Mm.
And it was good food. And once I started understanding why he did it, it's because that's how he was brought up. He didn't know any better.
No, look, I'm a big believer we're all doing the best we can do with what the skills we've got, and
Yeah.
we can only step out and try and learn more
Mm.
skills, and
Yes.
that's the way that we change.
Yeah.
We can then look back at things and go, "Oh, that wasn't the best way
Mm.
to do that." But if we're not prepared to grow or change, and that's what I'm assuming that you've had to do a lot in the last couple of years,
Yeah.
is to really go, I have to be, as you said, I have to be prepared to change because, and I imagine that your family being supportive, your husband and,
My husband is still around. I did give him an out when I was in jail a couple of times. I said, look, just leave. Don't.
mm,
And he goes, Connie, that's not the Connie I met. That's not the Connie I know.
mm,
You stuffed up big time.
yeah,
Um, and he stuck around.
yeah,
My
because
son,
that would be very difficult, and especially even, for a 15-year-old, that shame is part of theirs as well, I imagine.
I suppose with my son, because I was worried about him,
Mm,
I actually went and saw his school because I knew what was going to happen. And so I told the principal, they were the most supportive bunch of teachers and principal I could ever ask for. They were beautiful.
mm,
But the other thing too is because I was a late mother at 45, I only got married at 42. I had him at nearly 45. I always believed in bringing up a strong child.
mm,
We always made him resilient. I never lifted a finger. There was always other ways you could actually discipline him, and it didn't have to be physical, and it didn't
mm,
have to be harsh.
mm.
And I only had to do that a couple of times. He's always been a very obedient child. He's actually more of a troublemaker now than he was then because he's got his own mind. Um, but I was worried about him being at school and being bullied.
Mm.
But you know what? His friends stuck by him.
No, that's good.
And
That's
never
good to
put,
hear.
not one person bullied him. But like I said, Mum, words, what is it? Sticks and stones might hurt my bones, but words will never
Yeah.
hurt type of
Yeah.
thing.
Six and
And
stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Good on him.
Always. So
That's
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 what
a
we've
very
always, yeah.
mature young man.
He is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
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 So I'm glad for that because that was the biggest worry in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And and stepping out, as you said, it's as I said, we're the same vintage, but my progression has been through management and own business, and you had this chunk of time taken out of yours. So it wasn't just the prison time, it was the time before that where you were trying to, you sort of met, as you said, met the wrong people and then made all the mistakes and had the money. So it was all this processing. So you've taken this huge chunk of your life out and the 2 years when you came out.
I
Now
reckon we're a good
to go
10 years.
66 to go, okay, what do I do with my life? And not every person in that space has gone through that, but there are a lot of women in particular that might have gone through divorce or they've lost a job because of aged out or whatever it is, and then have to start again. So, what would be your recommendations? What steps did you take to go, okay, I have to start again?
Well, one thing I've realized about myself, I always knew I was, but this made me even more aware, is that I'm actually a very strong, resilient person.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to drag me down. I let that drag me down for almost 10 years. I mean, the first 5 years I still kept going,
Mm.
but being in jail for 2.5, locking myself away for another 2.5, that's 5 years that I did nothing. But even in jail, I still kept myself motivated. I read a lot. I worked as hard as I possibly could. I didn't sit in my cell doing nothing.
And
I
so a cell, and I just want to use that metaphor if you, when you're talking about cell now, it's a mental cell or a physical cell as well, isn't it?
That one in jail was a physical one.
Yeah, but the people are in a mental or emotional cell as
Yeah.
well. If you've been through a divorce or you've had something happen in your life that's really
But
hit
you
you
know what I
hard.
say to them, Janeen? The only person who can actually change it is you.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't expect help from anybody. Yes, they might be there to support you, but they
Mm,
can't do it for you.
mm,
All right? So you have to get out of that internal cell. You have to say, I am going to do this. It doesn't matter what it is. You might want to be a cleaner. You might want to
mm.
do office work. You might just want to do volunteer work, but only you can do it.
Yeah, it's that just do it. I'm a big advocate of
Yeah.
taking action and get out of your own way.
Ah, yes.
We
Yes.
block ourselves, and there's no reason that us women in our 60s can't be achieving the things that we want to achieve in life. It's important to
I
be
was
able to
speaking,
recognize that.
yeah. I was speaking to somebody last night. She's 80. She's out there public speaking all of a sudden,
Mm,
right? She's just written a book that's come out.
yeah.
So age is irrelevant. Age is just a number.
Mm.
We got
You know
we
what it is also too, Connie? It's a mindset.
Yes, it is mindset.
Mm,
And unfortunately, in this country, we do have a problem with age. It's
mm,
such an ageist country. It's probably one of the worst that I've come across.
mm,
Um, in Europe, they revere the elderly.
mm,
In Asia, it's the same. But when it comes to Australia, we seem to just want to put them in a home and forget about them.
mm.
So it's
Yeah,
up
my sons are never going to get away with that. I'm sorry.
but it's up to us to fight that.
Oh, absolutely.
Do it. The
Yeah,
young ones won't do it for us. We have to. Politicians ignore us. Why? Because they think, oh, they're on a pension, they won't vote for us,
yeah,
right? So they ignore us.
yeah. It,
So we
it's
have to fight.
yes, absolutely. And that becomes then, that becomes your power when you recognize it is within you. And you're the only one that can make those changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can have all the support in the world. I mean, I still
Yeah.
see a counselor, but we don't talk about the gambling side. It's whatever issues are in my life.
Mm,
But I go because I just want to make sure I don't fall again. Like something happened when my mum died, for example. I
mm,
thought I need to see my counselor because I
mm.
hadn't seen her for a while. But of course, that counselor thought I wasn't interested anymore, so I had to go to a new one.
Right. Yeah.
But I just wanted to nip it in the bud before it got anywhere.
And there's things that are coming at us all the time. There's
Life is full of frustrations.
yep, yep, frustration, struggles, the things
Yeah.
that is often out of our control, and recognizing how you respond to it. And that's sort of, how so if someone has made a serious mistake, how would you suggest with reputation? How do you get your life back? How do you get your reputation back?
It's hard. It depends what you do
Trust
with
is a
it.
hard one to get back, isn't it?
It is. And look, and it's very hard for me in the event industry. And
Mm,
that's why I've gone off from doing the online event management course because I couldn't actually get quite students. But
mm,
through the group that we met through, I actually had a one-to-one with the business coach there. I think you know who I'm talking about.
mm,
And he said, well, Connie, he said, if I want to do event management and I Google you, he said, this is what comes up.
mm.
He
Yeah.
said, why would I do you? But he also knew that I wanted to go into the corporates to give
Mm,
people a second chance.
mm,
He said, why don't you do this instead? Build
mm,
that up, get your reputation intact, because if they look you up, you're the
mm,
genuine deal. Yes, you were
mm.
in jail, right? You're not denying it. So once you get that up and running, then if you want to go do the online event management courses back,
Mm.
then it doesn't matter. Your reputation is intact again. So it's going to take years.
Yeah, yeah. But it makes sense to utilize the skills and the experiences that you have and
Mm.
go, hey, this is me. This is what happened. This is something that, I absolutely regret, but I recognize that it's me. And now how can I produce something that is going to make change for other people, or can you utilize those skills that I have or the experience I have?
Yeah.
And that's yours is extreme from the average person.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah, it is. But there's people out there that don't recognize the abilities and skills that they have and what they might do to
Yes, you got,
improve
but first
their.
of all, they've got to own their story.
Mm, yeah.
Don't hide from it. And that's one thing, it was hard for me to own my story.
Mm,
But once I did, and look, not everybody wants to be a public speaker. Not everybody wants to be an author.
mm,
Do what you want to do. And that's the other thing I want to talk about too. I've got another book called Chainless and Fearless, The Four E's to Transformation. And it's basically giving people that have had addictions or been in jail and come out, give them a second chance. If
mm,
they've made a mistake in one mistake or two in their life,
mm,
don't penalize them for the rest. Because with those four E's, and that's that even before they go to jail and in jail, employment, empowerment, education, and environment. If you can give those four E's
mm.
to anybody, you won't have the crime you've got today, which is
Ah,
costing the community a hell of a lot of money.
mm. Yeah, I noticed in Queensland they've they've got different rules than they have in Victoria, fortunately up here, a little bit tighter. But there was there's a Kokoda walk and a Kokoda trail and over the
Hmm.
mountains here, but there's a youth group, and now that's where a lot of the offenders are going through this Kokoda training. And I thought, wow, that's impressive. That stuff can make a difference. I've
It does.
been very much, get out on the farms and see how because when you're busy, you're not thinking of yourself.
No.
It's a different mindset, and when your thoughts are serving others, then
Yes.
you're not, and that's what you're doing now, is serving others through your stories and your books and speaking, so that it means you can not, and this is one of the things I know with people who've said to me they haven't taken that final step because they switched it and started serving others instead, and it
Yes.
makes a difference.
And look, what I'm doing now is exactly what I've been doing all my life, but in a different way.
Mm,
I've always been a community-based person. I've always been there doing charity work on committees, for years and years, volunteer. So it's part of my DNA, basically.
mm,
Uh,
yes.
I do have an affinity with children because of what I went through. So my charities tend to be aligned more to them
Mm,
than anything else in the past. I also feel for the elderly in this country
mm, yeah.
because
Oh,
we
there's
don't look after them.
Yeah, most definitely. We'll be there one day. The,
Yes.
we always finish with a couple of three takeaway points. What would you like out of the whole conversation? What would you like us to particularly remember?
What I'd like you to remember, or your listeners to remember, is we all struggle. We all have issues. Find yourself someone you can talk to, be honest to, so you don't fall through the cracks.
Mm,
There's always associations or groups, organizations that are there to help you. I know with gamblers, you got Gamblers Help. With alcohol, you got Alcoholic Anonymous. With
mm,
drugs, yeah.
mm,
So Beyond Blue is there, Headspace for the young ones. So reach out.
mm.
Don't hold it inside. That is so, so important. I wish I had done that. I wish I had reached out to somebody.
Getting help early. And I know one of your other points is you're not broken. You're building your story is not your shame. It
Yeah.
can become your superpower. I think that's such a great point to take
Yeah.
away.
And just remember, vulnerability is not weakness, it's actually strength.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the final one is that you mentioned was red flags are never random.
Oh, no, no. Did you know that 75% of people actually admit that they've stolen from their employer at least once?
Goodness, I think I've taken a pen, but
75. Well, that's why mum was shocked because I didn't. I never took a pen. She goes,
yeah.
"You never took a pen." I said, "I don't know, mum." So it was very hard to explain it to her what happened. Yeah. And yeah. And
My cousin's partner stole from and ended up in jail stealing from her business where she worked. It was and when I first went to the company that I went through, they had a staff member that had stolen. So yeah, it's a lot more prevalent than you think. Certainly not the thing to do.
I actually start my talk with, how many criminals do you know?
Yeah, okay.
And is it none? Is it one? There's at least a couple in politics.
There's a few around.
Yes.
Trust.
But if you
Yeah,
say no, you know one, and that's me. So I'll start with a little bit of lightness
yeah,
about it,
yeah.
because we all know somebody, we just don't know that they are.
Yeah, yeah, interesting, isn't it? Oh, look, I've enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for revealing so much
Thank you,
about
Janeen.
yourself and your story, because that's not an easy thing to do. As you said, there's a whole lot behind it, the stigma and the shame. I really honor that you are now sharing that story and taking it out to the world, but helping others identify those red flags, I think, is so important. Thank you so much, Connie.
Thank you. And ask for help.
Definitely.
Reach out.
Connie, if people want to contact you, get one of your books, what's the best way to do that?
Go to my website, which is www.conniepaglianiti.com.
Okay, and I'll have the spelling in the show notes, because this is a video here on YouTube, but on the podcast channels, it's just audio.
Yes.
It'll be in the show notes as well. So yes, definitely, and reach out. And as Connie said, if there's anything that's showing up as a red flag in your life or lives and the people around you, then get help.
Yes.
Get help early.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's another episode of the We Are Women podcast. Thank you so much for joining us as you do. And the podcasts come out every 3 weeks now, and I love the conversations I have with people. I would love to have a conversation with you. So do reach out at janeenbosper.com. Book a strategy call. We can have a discussion about how I might be able to assist you in your life and business. And I guarantee, if I am not the right person, I have an incredible bank of people that I know that are really happy and skilled to be able to assist you achieve the results and success you want in your life and business. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to you listening to the next episode. Bye-bye for now.
So, do you feel stuck in a rut in business? Visit speechperfect.com.au and download Janeen's free ebook to avoid the 5 most common stumbling blocks women face in business. It's jam-packed full of tips to overcome the barriers that could be holding you back from the success that you dream your business will be. We would love you to leave a review of today's episode and share this podcast with other women in need of entrepreneurial inspiration. Subscribe to the next episode now and join the We Are Women community.